Greetings all! Today, we'll be examining the common normal flying type Pokemon Hoothoot and its relatively uncommon evolution Noctowl, collectively known as the Owl Pokémon. While they might not initially stand out from other bird Pokemon at first glance, the members of the Hoothoot family are unique creatures that can more than use a bit of extrasensory power to befuddle those that would dare challenge them to a conventional fight. Hoothoot have a rounded body form with dark brown feathers on the majority of their frame, save for the belly area, which is a lighter shade of brown in color. They have small wings and large four-toed feet with sharp claws, though they typically only stand on one leg at a time, keeping the other one tucked in close to their body where their feathers can obscure its presence, and switching between them when one leg gets tired so quickly that their movement cannot be seen with the human eye. They have a small stubby pink beak and large red eyes that are adorned with a hard crest of matted feathers around and off of their face, forming a pair of arrow-shaped crests that very much resemble the hands on a clock. Their evolved form, Noctowl, have larger body forms that follow that of a more traditional owl, with dark brown feathers on their wings and tail and a lighter shade of brown on the front of their torso and head, their breast in particular also being adorned with 2 rows of 3 dark brown triangles. They only have 3 clawed toes per foot now, but they tend to stand on both of them at the same time for greater stability when perching, and their eyes retain their piercing red color with black and beige ring markings around them. They do not have the same crest as seen in Hoothoot, with it being replaced with a pair of beige-colored hardened feather clumps that have 3 jagged ends that point upwards towards the sky, and a triangle of material at the middle of their base where the crest attaches to their head. The members of the Hoothoot family stand out from other basic bird Pokemon in that they have access to incredible special powers that completely betray their type assignment and help to make them far more dangerous fighters than they might look to be. These creatures do start off with basic attacks just like any other bird Pokemon, but it doesn't take long before their true power starts to emerge and they begin to acquire attacks and techniques that are normally associated with the psychic type, rather than the normal and flying types that they are assigned to. It is unknown what exactly allows these creatures to harness such power, but it is likely down to their advanced brains, which contain a number of gray matter areas that are not present in other types of birds. Regardless, this gives them an advantage in that almost half of the total moves that they learn naturally are of the psychic type, and they are unique among normal type Pokemon in that they are able to learn moves naturally that are not seen in the natural move repertoire of other normal and flying type Pokemon, such as the Reflect, Extrasensory, Psycho Shift, and Dream Eater moves, giving them a leg up against Pokemon that are weak to those types of moves. As a whole, this makes these birds far more versatile than one might expect, and definitely not a force to be underestimated, even if their powers are not that strong from a stat perspective. The reasoning as to why they are able to get so much access to the type and yet not be partial psychic types is still not entirely certain, but it is possible that this is such because their psychic powers were developed as a side effect of their unique brain structures in their head that exist for completely different primary reasons, making them secondary powers in turn. Regardless, these powers allow these creatures to surprise others with both tactical strikes, learning the potent hypnosis technique at a very early stage of development, and contribute to their abilities, as while their natural biology grants them access to the insomnia and keen eye abilities as base abilities. If they are particularly gifted with their extrasensory powers, they can use said power to amplify the strength of their attacks when up against an unfavorable opponent, giving them access to the Tinted Lens ability as a hidden ability. In terms of stats, and looking at Noctowl, it can be seen that these birds really aren't built for close quarters scuffles, and thankfully have the right moves to make sure this isn't always a huge concern in a fight. On the one hand, these birds are frail physically and are not the fastest of flyers compared to other bird Pokemon, so their base attack, defense, and speed stats are below average for a fully evolved normal and flying type Pokemon. However, their special strength offensively is definitely greater than normal for a normal type, and their overall stamina and resistance to special attacks is quite strong on account of their unusual extrasensory powers, so the base special attack stat is above average for a fully evolved normal type Pokemon, while their base HP and special defense stats are above average for a fully evolved Pokemon of both of their types, helping to make them hardier against special assaults than many might otherwise assume them to be. Hoothoot are different from most owls in that they have a unique way in which they track and hunt for prey. These creatures have incredible eyesight that allows them to see clearly in both the light and the dark, no matter how dark it might be, and have thus adapted to a life as nocturnal hunters, though they can and often are awake in the daytime when possible. Instead of using the sun as an indicator for nightfall, however, these birds utilize the normal diurnal life cycle of other creatures as their primary method of finding and tracking their prey. Almost all mammals, especially the small rodents that they feast on, have a biological clock in their brains that tells them when it is time for them to go to sleep, a state where they are completely vulnerable to attack. Hoothoot are biologically designed to hunt for them at this period of time when they cannot easily escape, But to help with this, instead of relying on the sun, these birds rely on a special organ in their bodies that allows them to feel the rotation of the Earth. Using this organ, these birds can tell when their side of the planet is completely facing away from the sun, and thus when it is truly night, and sync that with their prey to precisely determine when it is the proper time for them to hunt. Hoothoot will often tilt their head back and forth in rhythm and cry out to others of their kind at specific intervals of time in the day to make sure everyone in their family is synced properly, on time and ready to hunt at the same time. And they are so accurate in their hoots that they are often used as clocks in the poorer parts of the world that they occupy. As a result of their accurate timekeeping skills, Hoothoot are revered by many as symbols of wisdom and are even said by some to be divine creatures sent on from high to help the world keep time. And while that is an unlikely truth, they do make great navigators in dense forests where they dwell, and can be especially useful in warding off ghosts using their foresight technique, which they have access to from birth, balancing on one foot in order to keep their bodies and minds sharp and ready for just about anything, even if they are being attacked. Noctowl are extremely efficient nocturnal hunters and are able to find prey from distances that might otherwise be mind-boggling to many, and this all comes down to their specially developed eyes. The eyes of these creatures, aside from being fairly large, are built to be able to take even the faintest bit of light and magnify it immensely inside of their eyes through a special lens in each one, allowing them to turn even a pinprick of light into an illuminating beacon that can light up a room for them enough to make navigation and tracking extremely easy. This is further helped by their psychic powers, which also allow them to bend light around them in order to focus it into their eyes, collecting more light to widen their field of vision and make their environment look even brighter than normal. Aside from this, these birds are assisted in their hunting by their supple wings and soft, special feathers, which are coated with a very thin, frictionless, wax-like coating that not only helps to produce additional lift, but, more importantly, minimizes air resistance so much that these creatures can cut right through the air and make no sound while doing so, allowing them to fly silently through the air and easily ambush prey and opponents in battle when they least expect it. This further grants Noctowl the capacity to learn the Sky Attack move after evolving with a bit of help, giving them one more tool of war to use when fighting in an intense conflict, and is so revered for their hunting prowess that they are often called by some as the Emperors of Dark Nights, rarely ever failing any hunt they go on under normal circumstances. Aside from this, it is important to note that Noctowl are incredibly intelligent, easily among the most intelligent of all bird Pokemon, and are known to be able to count, devise advanced strategies on their own, and understand human speech completely. It can even be seen when they are deep in thought about something, as they will often tilt their heads 180 degrees upside down when they are troubled by something and are in deep thought, allowing them to keep their bodies still and focus all their energy on thinking. While this can look quite amusing, it is best to keep away from them while they are doing this, as these birds will peck at anyone that tries to break their concentration. Even so, they are fairly friendly birds as a whole, and can often be more of a friend than an enemy as long as they are treated with due respect and dignity. Though they might not look to be that fancy or strong compared to other bird Pokemon, the members of the Hoothoot family are unique creatures that definitely have some special tricks to show those that are foolish enough to underestimate their power. They might lack the serious strength needed to be an offensive threat in many cases, but these birds can readily use power beyond their own types to make others miserable and keep them asleep and out of commission for as long as possible. Just do yourself a favor and try not to interrupt them while they're in the middle of thinking about something. They might just peck at you to try and get you to leave them alone, but if you persist, you may find yourself on the receiving end of some nasty psychic power that can leave you asleep, dazed, and or confused to the point of likely never wanting to see another one of their kind again. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description.
Yeah, no.
With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.